Hi everyone. Welcome to Own Your Brain, the Stories campaign, and today's story comes to you all the way from Pakistan. Today's guest is Ayub Ayubi, and as you know, I usually travel to the people that I interview. That's the whole kind of concept behind the Stories campaign, but since I couldn't go to Pakistan, we worked it out, and Ayub drove 4 hours to a studio to be able to share his story, and I was able to communicate with him via Skype. So here's his story. I think you'll really enjoy it.
Yes, I'm Ayub Ayubi. I'm the founder of Renaissance Foundation for Social Innovation Pakistan, and I'm also a peace activist. Growing at my home, it was like I've been highly manipulated in terms of my clothing, my lifestyle, my behavior. I always had limited information that I was allowed to have. I always have to follow them in all the regards, whatever they are saying, with regards to their cult engagement. And obviously they were integrated to a cult, and they were brainwashed by the cult that they are still following even today. So the cult had a high influence on them, and this influence ultimately had an impact on me. When I took decision not to follow that belief system, I had to have a strong opposition of parents and family, and obviously the belief system they belong to. Finally, I began the journey of freedom, but this was not a freedom. In fact, I joined another religious leftist cult and a student movement for the socio-economic rights. And that was a beginning of a change. You can say that was a changing in the belief system. It highly impacted my family relationship, the social circle. I had a social circle in two areas, one which I was born into, and the second which I created at my college time, and unfortunately both belong to a cult. One is the Orthodox religious, and the other one is religious leftist cult, and both of them were a highly intense cult. And when I planned to leave them, I had to leave all my contacts there, and obviously when I left my first cult, I had to face a lot of resistance from my home and the social circle, and it was a huge barrier for me with regards to gaining endorsement from my family for my new task. And obviously it was not an easy job to have opposition of your parents when you're leaving, and when you're not following them with regards to their ideological perspectives. Initially, when I was in the cult, they were treating everyone with a very friendly emotional state. They were treating everyone with a very good gesture. There was no problem in it at all. But later on, as we were moving on, they were not happy with the people, because they were demanding people to fulfill some of their demands, which students were unwilling to go for. So like they were saying, you have to give your 80-90% time to us, but that was not actually the thing which we can, because we have to balance our school life, our college life. I had to balance I had to give my time to many areas, so it was not a reality to give my maximum time to them. It was quite common in both of the cult, and this is the common thing which realized me today, that this is a cult. Because the moment you say, I'm gonna leave you, they're making you fearful of God, and they're saying you that if you're not following us, you are ultimately moving towards, you are taking the fear of God, and you are following the wrong path. And it will lead you towards a disaster in your personal life and your professional life, and you will not be able to have a success, and you will not be able to have heaven in the next world. This is quite common in both religious orthodox and religious leftist cult. And racism is that they're claiming they're superior to all other human beings just because of what they believe about Islam. And similarly, this is the belief of IS and other jihadist organization. The second cult is also believing that he is superior, and they are preaching violence at the leader stance. We were preached that we will be violent when the leader will believe that we are now happy with our mass accumulation, like we have some people, or we have sufficient people to have a protest or to overthrow the government, and then we will be on the road, we will be on the streets, and we will fight and we will overthrow the government. So both cults had very much chances to provide soft and hard ground for radicalization and for the violent version. Dehumanization is happening on Orthodox religious cult more, because they are limiting people for highly for the doctrine, for specific reality of the cult, and they are indoctrinating people for specific belief system, and that is limiting them from the rest of the social world, from family and from the whole world around. And they are declaring everyone as infidel, even their own brothers and sisters. And this is happening here in the cults. It is not an easy task, as I mentioned you earlier, that in the Western countries there is a proper system that you are deprogrammed once you are in a cult. And it is taken as a scientific process, while here it is not taken as a scientific process, and people are treated in a bad manner. And nobody is there to save them. So it is really important that one have to take care of himself or herself when they are leaving the cult. So it was important for me that I have to take care of myself when I was leaving from one cult to another, and from leaving the cult at all, and I was moving. In fact, it was, for me, it was an intellectual transition from the start. And I take it as an intellectual transition, and I was evolving and growing over time. As I was reading more and more, I was not allowing somehow to anyone, in spite of restrictions. I was reading outside of the sect, I was reading outside of the cult, I was writing outside of the cult. This one habit has led me this way, and the reading and writing habit has taken me out of this whole context. And it has allowed me to improve and reconnect with myself psychologically and emotionally. Once you are blessed with a multiple view of life and diversity and unity, and acknowledging a unity in diversity, it is your ultimate task to save people and save the children and the young people from becoming prey to the cult mind. And the first thing to do is to engage them in critical thinking skills at home, at school, and at workplace, or even whatever activities they are doing in games, through other means, because this is the only way to save them. Second thing is that you need to empower them. You need to give them some rights, some space at home, at workplace, and at school, so that they can exercise things with their own mindset. The thing is that you are not providing them some space. If you are not giving a space, you're ultimately you're brainwashing them, and you are manipulating the mind. Even not brainwashing, but you are manipulating and creating undue influence. So it is important that you have to create space for them, and that is a critical factor for the survival. And the other factor includes civic engagement. The government needs to think that how they can create an inclusive environment. There is a need to reshape people's thinking about the foreign policy, about the ideological narrative, about the civic engagement. All these factors will have to be taken care of for a balanced and nourished young children. Mostly the radicalized people are influenced by the grievances which they contain in terms of social and political areas. They are not happy with the foreign policy. They have been indoctrinated that the Muslims have been highly suppressed by the West and some that kind of doctrines. Irrespective of that phenomena, whether they have been suppressed or not, but their role is made suspicious by the radicalized version. What I will say them that they need to find a way to fight, even if they feel that they still believe that they have to fight for Muslims. They need to fight for their rights. They need to find some peaceful way to resolve those conflicts within the Muslim states. The way is not, you cannot resolve the issues while taking a radicalized version of Islam, making yourself to the path of gun and suicide bombing, but rather you need to think how you can best advocate your ideas and how you can advocate yourself in peaceful manner, and where you can impact more and more in the society. The way you are taking right now will take you nowhere. If you are in a process of a cult, or you have overcome a cult mindset and your family is not still with you, so it is important, you need to have a conflict resolution skill. You need to reconcile with them. And I'm also working on this area because I have personally been the victim of it in the past, and it is really important for your mental peace that you are always talking about the psychological improvement and psychological strength. So it is really important that you are very, very active in conflict resolution. You are very, very active in reconciliation in difficult conditions. You are very, very active in recognizing diverse opinions. And I think that the person who has overcome the cult mindset really needs to go in intense diversity training, diversity activities, and conflict resolution activities, so that he can find the way to reconcile with parents, because he needs to speak a lot. If he is not speaking with the parents to resolve the conflict, that is really a disaster, and he might not be able to have peace in mind if he is not going through it. So there is no option. You need to have a peace, and for peace you need to have a conflict resolution skill, and you need to reconcile your differences with your parents, with your family, and with other people. No matter what, there is no option exists. Many people were of the belief that it is the beginning of another world war, and that has never been true. Because the jihadist insurgency can never be integrated to another world war, and I think the government should respond it to positively, and they need to focus on the softer ground. What are the primary element which has led the suicide bombers to suicide at first instance? How you can solve the issue at the level of Muslim societies, how you can include them into the mainstream politics, how you can resolve their grievances against the state. If you can resolve their grievances against the state, you can resolve the issue. If you cannot resolve their grievances against the state, such thing will happen over and over again. Instead of putting more and more bombs on Syria and the other Muslim states, which will create reaction against the United States and allies, they need to put more focus on countering the narrative. Because you cannot change individuals' beliefs, and the lone wolf is the kind of attack that is taken by an individual, that is not taken by the group of people, and you can never control it because you never know what is going into the mind of people. what is going, what your friend is thinking, who is sitting at workplace with you. You never know anything about it. And it can happen anywhere. It is uncontrollable, simply uncontrollable. And you can only control it if you are thinking on the softer version, how you can challenge the narrative of terrorism, how you can change people's mindset towards the terrorism. This is the only way. I feel, and those who believe in moderate version of Islam, they believe that they are attacked because the religion of Islam is not like this as it has been presented. We, before talking to you, we were just recording a narrative of peace with one of our leading scholar, and we were discussing Quranic verses and hadiths with him. And believe me, Quran is never leading towards this way, as it has been presented by such people and these bloody people. Islam is never like this, and it has never been in the history like this as they are presenting it today. And I really feel attacked, and it is our responsibility not to bring it on the name of Islam. With regards to the cult mentality, you and I know that the cult exists in every religion. It is not the matter of only Islam. It exists in even Christianity. It exists in Jewish. It exists in all religions. It is not only related to Islam. But regarding the radicalization, I assure you, and I give you full responsibility, Quran and Islam has never been supportive of bloodshed and radicalization, with the radicalized version with regards to killing innocent people and declaring an individual on jihad against a state. Renaissance Foundation for Social Innovation was established in 2011 when I left a religious leftist cult, and immediately after that I made it. And since that time, we have worked with several organizations internationally and locally, and we have also conducted several dialogue with think tanks and with the people who are working on countering radicalization and violence. And also we have developed 2 programs for young people to join, and we have been successfully conducting these sessions after every 4 months, and it is a great opportunity for young people to join it, and it is a great learning experience for them. It is titled as Collage Peace Fellowship Program, and this program contains 3 days, and in which several leadership activities and games and other conflict resolution skills have been taught to individuals, young people, and several policy dialogues are conducted during the time, and it is really a great and successful event across Pakistan. The second is we are going to launch a program for anti-cult recruitment, which is our focus, and we want to strengthen critical thinking skill of young people, and which contains age from 15 to 20. And our focus is to engage young people in, to give an awareness to them that how the cults are working and which sort of critical thinking they are required to survive and pass on to other people. So this is the kind of that thing which we are launching, because we believe in preventive measures. Also, we are trying to develop dialogue skills through our own created tool, We Care, that is also known as Crosstalk. It is also available worldwide on website, and in Pakistan we are conducting several training sessions on that with young people, and so that we are trying in fact to develop their critical thinking skills and diversity skills. I think it is a great opportunity for the young people to join us in this regard. And also I will request soon we are launching this project on global giving, and I will request the people who have sympathy for countering violence, they can be the part of that project. I think that we need to put our collective efforts for a better world, and it requires our hearts and mind working together for peace and the development. And we need to think beyond status quo and beyond our personal constraints. And I think we need to challenge the status quo, and we need to challenge our egos to work together for the better future. And this is the challenge that we all are facing. And we need to overcome our own personality conflicts.
This has been Ayub Ayubi's story, and all of his contact information is below. The work he's doing now, the peace activist work, and the work he does with young people to teach them critical thinking skills and conflict resolution skills and diversity skills, that link is below. I hope you'll support his work. Also, if you'd like to communicate, talk about what you just saw, please put your comments below. I'd like to get a conversation going, and I will participate in that conversation. There's also a link to my website and a link to subscribe. But most importantly, if you have a story to tell or you know someone who has a story to tell, please hit that Contact Me button and let's talk about it. So we'll see you soon at the next story on the Stories campaign. Thank you.